Hey, what is up, mortals? It is Corey Perkins here, and before we get in today's video, there's something I'd like to say. I'd like to let you all know that we have a merch store. Some of the items in it are only available for a limited amount of time, so if you're interested, go into the description and check it out. Each purchase helps us make more content. Secondly, if this video hits 500 likes by the end of the week, we will continue this What If. And thirdly, if you don't know, only 43.5% of you guys are subscribed to us. So, please hit the subscription button and click the bell icon. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the story. Izuku entered into the bus still buzzing with excitement. Unfortunately, that excitement did not serve to keep him awake through the bus ride. He had found that despite his efforts to keep himself in optimal health, he had overworked himself and not slept enough to compensate. A few hours into the ride, Izuku awoke as the bus screeched to a halt. He expected a rest stop area or something of the sort, but instead, all the class was met with was a vacant corner inhabited by a single black car. The rest of the class seemed just as perplexed as he was, and a flurry of questions soon arose. They were all simultaneously answered by three figures exiting the car, two of whom Izuku recognized as members of the hero team, the Pussycats. Aizawa informed the rest of the class of their identity as well. The heroes then explained that they would be staying in an area further into the forest behind them, and they would be making the journey by foot, producing various negative reactions from the students. Aizawa couldn't say he was thrilled by this either. He understood, of course, but he was still sleep-deprived and admittedly a little sore. Still, he reluctantly began his journey into the forest with his peers. It was not without challenge. He didn't assume it would be with a name like the Beast Forest. The teachers were planning something, but they beat the first beats with ease and were able to get the rest done. Although it took quite some time, they all came out in rough condition. The teachers seemed impressed and specifically pointed out Izuku, Bakugo, Todoroki, and Ida. After some more discussion, Izuku asked about the child that accompanied the group. One of the members, Mendeley, explained he was her cousin's child. She said his name was Kota and asked him to introduce himself to the class. He stood, unmoving and unspeaking, a slightly aggressive frown sitting on his face. After an uncomfortable amount of time sitting in silence, Aizawa directed the students to get their bags, have dinner, and get ready for bed. The food tasted remarkable. Part of that could most likely be attributed to the fact that none of them had eaten since breakfast, and had already gone through quite a bit of training. Still, it tasted great, and they were all very grateful. They all bathed after, and as expected, Mineta had devised a plan to see the girls while they bathed. He began scaling the wall, only to be met by the child they had met earlier. He commented about how Mineta needed to be a better person if he was going to be a hero. Izuku smiled at this. It was nice to see a child that didn't just have a blind love for hero society. He was quickly snapped out of his thoughts as Kota fell from the wall. He quickly ran to grab him and bring him to safety. He immediately brought him to Mendeley and explained the situation. She informed him that she asked him to stay there in case anyone like Mineta tried to do anything. Izuku decided while he was there to ask about Kota. Does Kota have some sort of history with heroes? I know he lives with you guys, so I'm sure that changes his views, but still, most children want to be heroes and would jump at the chance to stay with hero students. But he doesn't seem to do any of that. He almost seems to have resentment toward us, Izuku questioned. Well, he wasn't exactly raised like a normal child. Even before he came to stay with us, he was exposed to hero life, answered Mendeley. How is that? Izuku asked. At this point, another member, Pixie Bob, entered and answered Izuku's question. She went on to explain that Kota's parents were also heroes, but they died in the line of duty. Mendeley continued explaining the events, mentioning that it happened 2 years ago while protecting a citizen. Although they died an honorable death, the child is not able to understand that. He just knew that his parents had left him, and everyone told him it was a good thing. He apparently had resented heroes ever since, including the Pussycats. Izuku understood this. Sure, it was noble for heroes to die, but they were still people with families. He was sure his mother would resent hero society, at least a little if he were to pass. He continued to think about it as he made his way back to the boys' room. He had thought he knew most of the faults of hero society, but he had never thought about this. He felt a sadness grow inside him. He had a great deal of empathy for this kid. He wanted to show him the good aspects of heroes, but he had no idea where to start. Izuku went to sleep with that thought. The next morning, they were informed they would be doing strength training for the day, specifically to aid in obtaining their provisional license and in case any future attacks happened. Aizawa handed Bakugo a ball. Bakugo noted it was from the fitness test. Aizawa then said they were looking for improvement in students and told him to throw the ball. After he did, Bakugo's score showed only a 5-meter improvement, surprising himself as well as most of the others in class. Aizawa explained that while they had all improved significantly in the last 3 months, it had been almost exclusively mentally and technically. He said that they would be focusing on quirks starting that day, apparently to an extreme extent, earning significant alarm from the class. As they worked, Class 1B also arrived. They seemed extremely passionate and ready to get to work. Before we get back into the story, I'd like to say that we've got a second channel called Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive goes into hard facts of the anime presented. If you're interested in content like this, please go check out the description below or click the icon on the top right corner. Now with all that out of the way, let's get back to the story. Rather than the team exercises like Izuku was expecting, they were all doing individual quirk training. Izuku was certainly not opposed to this, as he acknowledged his need to improve his use of One for All. Izuku trained fighting Tiger, trying to increase how much of his quirk he could use at once without being damaged while fighting an opponent. He was very grateful for the extra training he had done previously. Midoriya wasn't winning by any means, but he didn't get tired as easily as he might have otherwise. He kept repeating what he had been told by everyone who trained him. He wasn't allowed to give up. The power he was given was a gift, and he would not get lazy and waste it. By the end of the day, the whole class was exhausted and ready to eat. They were given ingredients, instructions, and sent on their way. The food wasn't as good as the previous day, but for most of them being fairly inexperienced, it wasn't bad. Izuku noticed Kota leaving the camp and decided it would be best to go check on him. He wasn't surprised when he had been met with aggression by Kota. "Sorry, I didn't mean to bother you. I just thought you might want some curry," Izuku explained. "It's fine, I don't need any. I don't want you here. I don't want to hang out with any of you guys. Just get out of my secret hideout," Kota retorted aggressively. "A secret hideout, huh?" Izuku exclaimed. "Getting all into trying to improve your quirk is gross," Kota vented. "You want to show off your power that badly?" "I get why you don't like us. Your parents, were they water hose with the water quirks?" Izuku questioned. "Did Mandalay tell you?" he yelled. "She told me some of it, and I put the rest of the pieces together. I remember that accident," he was cut off. "Shut up! Everyone's crazy, calling each other stupid names like hero and villain and killing each other. Talking about quirks and stuff, it's because they're all showing off, and that it ended up like that. Stupid!" ranted Kota. Izuku could see where he was coming from. He agreed with a lot of it. Honestly, he hadn't been through half of what Kota had. "What is it? If there's nothing else, then go away," Kota said. "I get it. Kind of. My friend didn't inherit any quirk from his parents. It's rare, but it happens. He still aimed to be a hero, but was shown early on the flaws of hero society, and learned all about the heroes who did just use their quirks for show. I also learned, though, about the heroes who use their quirks to save people, and I think that's what your parents did. I know you hear that all the time, but they weren't just showing off. But you have every right to hate hero society. I get it," Izuku explained. You don't know anything," Kota said weakly. Meanwhile, lower in the camp, a large group of untrained criminals appeared. There weren't many with powerful quirks except a young girl they had found whose only interest seemed to be blood, which Shigaraki could find a use for, and a man with a strength enhancer quirk. Other than that, he had to rely on sheer numbers. It wasn't from a lack of effort. Shigaraki searched, or rather had Girin search far and wide for high-ranking villains or those with potential. But all the high-ranking villains thought it was beneath them to attack a school, rather than going for the real deal. And for some reason, there had been this vigilante group that was taking all the new talent. Something about showing society what real heroes were. Shigaraki had a good guess as to who was causing this. So he had to settle for quantity over quality. He put a great amount of work and thought into this, far greater than the USJ attack. He would not fail this time. The warp gate opened and he watched all the villains step through in large numbers. He would not fail this time, and he would certainly not go unnoticed. Thank you all for watching the video to the end. Now there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. On behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank the writer for this video, as well as the editor for this video. Their details are in the description below. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or you're interested in becoming one of those, go to the Discord that's in the description of this video and hit up the head of one of those areas. We're always looking for members to join us. That's it from us for today's video. So, thank you all for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested, and hit the like button if you liked the video. Until next time, peace out, mortals! Have an amazing day.